Welcome to Bonehead. I'm Joe Lewis.
I still can't breathe.
And you are?
I'm James Thomas, and you're not.
That's true. Anyway, in this episode, we're going to be doing Batman Villains 2.
The female edition.
I just don't think anybody around here's done any kind of female edition.
Are we doing addition or addition? Because I did not bring my calculator.
I've done new edition.
Oh, God. Well, anyway, I haven't prepared for this whatsoever. If you watched our last Batman's Villains episode, you realize that I don't know anything about comic books.
You awake this time though?
Yeah.
'Cause that would be a great benefit.
Are you going to be on your phone?
Probably.
I love me some Batman villains. Let me tell you about Pud.
Now, hey,
I'm
listen,
sorry.
And of course, our listeners will hear Pud.
All 10 of them.
Yeah.
Oh, let me tell you about the Pud face. You know, Dick Tracy, blah, blah, blah. Anyway.
No, we're talking Batman.
It's Batman villains.
Good God.
But Dick Tracy did come up.
Yes, it did. Because of
did come up.
James.
Yeah.
Which actually is, I thought that's how we'd start this one. Pulling from obscure
Oh,
trivia.
gee.
Way to
Christmas.
pull us in.
Of Latter-day
Pulling from
Saints.
obscure trivia.
Yeah. What do you got over there in that book?
One of the.
What's in the book, James? What's in the box, James?
It's Gwyneth Paltrow's head.
What's in the box?
Gwyneth Paltrow's head.
All right.
She's so Gwyneth. What?
Dead air, James.
What characters?
Yes.
What characters? Because we're going to talk about one of them, obviously, Batman villains.
Cheers.
That are female. But what characters in comic books have not started in comic books first? And the obvious
I know
one,
the answer.
Well, you know the obvious one. What is it, Joe?
It is
He's going to
Haley. No, it's Harley Quinn.
Okay, that's the one.
She was in the Batman animated series
Yes.
from the 90s, correct?
We'll start with that one. Do you know any other ones?
Hold on. Just because this is all I know. She was created from the 90s Batman animated series, correct?
Yes.
Okay, sweet.
Yes.
And Haley is dressed as Harley Quinn today, behind the camera.
She's not dressed as Harley Quinn. She's wearing apparel with Harley Quinn on it.
Well, you know, she came behind the camera to the front of the camera. We could all see that.
Oh, she's coming.
Oh, look, you can sit right over there near James. Look, just sit right there.
I'm not in the shot at all.
Yes,
You have to say,
Yes.
do I need to lean in more?
Are you not?
Good,
Are you?
good.
Come in. So talk.
Come, chameleon.
Chad, do you know any other ones?
What was the question? I've already lost
What
track.
are the that are now
Same
comic
here.
characters? What are the characters that started in other media that
Want some
became
Kool-Aid?
comic book characters? A couple of these actually surprised
Do
me.
you know the answer to this?
I wasn't listening.
Ah, jeez.
We'll rewind it later and I'll play it for you.
Egghead.
Egghead? Yep. That's
That was Vincent Price.
Yes.
I know all this.
Those are the
That was in the
extent
last
of my
Chuck.
Zod. Zod was not a comic book villain.
there you go, Zod.
Bizarro!
No, Bizarro
that
was a
was-
comic book villain.
John
She just
Diggle.
told me to do it. Actually, she really did. She leaned over and told me
Why
to
would
say
you
it.
do that?
I don't know.
Okay, so the ones that
Darkseid!
the ones that have became really popular, John Diggle, who's in the Arrow show.
Who's John Diggle?
He's on Arrow.
He's
the
Arrow's-
He's,
little guy.
he's the bodyguard for Oliver Queen.
Not that he needs it.
And then he becomes Bebop and Rocksteady were not created in the comics. They were created
Okay.
for the cartoon. Actually, they were created because Playmates, who made the toys, literally walked in and said, "We need more toys." And Laird of Eastman Laird, who created the Turtles, said, and just threw off two characters, which became Bebop and Rocksteady. And then the backstories were written by David Wise, who wrote the show. Firestar from Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends.
Oh.
Chloe Sullivan from Smallville, no idea.
Hey, I
Um,
love Chloe.
Wonder
Who's
Twins.
now in trouble for this. Yeah.
For what?
A sex cult.
In real life?
Yes.
Ooh, this is a good story. You have to tell me later.
Yeah.
We will.
The Wonder Twins got built into the DC universe.
Is that from Super Friends?
Yeah, that's
Were they
Super
created
Friends.
just for Super Friends?
Yes.
Yeah.
And they tell me I don't know anything.
Spike, who was in X-Men Evolutions.
That was on my-
Oh, he wasn't in the comics?
No.
I'm shocked.
Herbie, who was created for the Fantastic Four cartoon.
He's for Fully Loaded.
He's in Monte Carlo. He loved Monte Carlo. He
Herbie rides again, bitches.
was- Livewire, which was created for the Superman cartoon, popped up in an episode of Supergirl.
Voiced by Lori Petty.
Yep. It's now in the Green Hornet was originally a radio show.
Okay.
before it became more from the the 90s X-Men cartoon is now in the comics. Jimmy Olsen. Did you know Jimmy Olsen wasn't in the comics?
No, was he? Did he start in a radio program?
They created him for the radio program because they needed somebody for Superman to talk to and tell his adventures to, because he couldn't tell them to Lois because Lois would figure it out.
Huh.
So they created Jimmy Olsen as the man on the street.
Really quick, you were talking about, and I'm not trying to interrupt you.
No.
Did they make the Shadow into a comic after the radio program, or do you know?
That one I don't know.
Okay.
That one I did. It wasn't. It didn't pop up on my list, but Terry McGinnis, Terry McGinnis, Batman Beyond, started as a cartoon first. Agent Phil Coulson.
Oh, really?
Coulson was created for the movies first. X-23, known to most people because of Logan, was actually a character first in X-Men Evolutions, the cartoon.
Seriously?
Yes. She was introduced as a villain, but
Huh.
yes. And then Lockup, which started in the Batman cartoon,
Yeah.
and then became a villain to Robin.
It's also a Sylvester Stallone film.
It does not share ties to a comic book, I don't think.
No, but it has Sonny Landham in it.
But you know what doesn't have Sonny Landham in it anymore?
The world.
The land of the living. If you go to that Coco world from that Coco movie,
Would you get
Coco
on
in
the
it,
story?
that's it. That's it.
All
in
right,
them. So
cool.
those are the ones that are
Well,
still
no, well, hold
popular.
on. Come back. So why do you have all the Harley Quinn stuff on? What? I'm curious because I go to these cons and we're going to start with Harley Quinn, right? Now,
Yep.
legitimately have a question.
Yes.
Why? What is the obsession? Because you have the shirt, you have the pants, you have the socks,
Yes.
you have a
The
jacket
bracelets.
over there, you have a
I left the
bracelet.
tattoos at home.
Well, you've got the tattoos strategically hidden.
Yes.
Think for our audience can think about that. Why?
All right. She's a very smart character who is kind of, I want to say bamboozled by the Joker, but there's a great episode called Mad Love where you find out without the Joker, she's actually smart enough to catch Batman on her own.
Okay.
I just like her.
So why though? What do you all think of the
Her
attraction?
biggest weakness is that she needs to be needed.
She needs to be needed by the Joker, or she just needs to be needed?
By anybody. She chooses the Joker, but there's times where she decides she's done with the Joker and then she needs to be needed by Poison Ivy. She needs to have somebody.
I mean,
to
she's a
be on her team.
psychiatrist.
Yeah,
she is
she
a
needs-
doctor. She
yeah.
is not by
His
any
mind has
drawn to
been
crazy.
warped by the Joker.
Because
Which
we
is
do.
why I'm here.
Well, I know, but you work the cons. We all three work the cons. We see all these people, and you cannot swing a dead cat without hitting somebody dressed as Harley Quinn.
Well, and it's amazing to me talking about
So
that
it's in the zeitgeist. It's in the pop culture.
Well, last Halloween, my daughter, who is she's not 14, 7. She's 7. She was 7 at the time. But literally, her friends, about half of them were Harley Quinn. Out of probably 15, 16 little
Did
girls.
they have Daddy's Little Monster on?
Yeah,
there?
Some
was
of
this a
them
Suicide
did.
Squad thing?
Some of them had the Suicide Squad. Some of them had, and I've got some of them out here, the DC
classic ones?
superhero
Yeah.
girls.
This
which
is
I
more
wanna touch on.
This is
And then
more
that's
from the animated series, right?
Yeah.
Yes, that's the anime series.
So there's, and that's one of the things I'll talk about as we talk about Harley Quinn. But Harley Quinn has also been adapted to so many different forms of media. But I mean, she has became this.
Is she the one who created the sexy clown?
No, that was me. No, actually, it was Bozo.
Bozo. I knew he was gonna say Bozo.
Oh my God! I almost did something terrible in front of everybody. But let's just say I had a good time during the grand prize game.
I knew the grand prize game was. Where
I
he
hope
was
there's
gonna
20
go.
people out there
I hope we
listening
have
and
20 people listening.
listening.
Yeah. So anyway,
Grand
yeah, but
prize game.
yeah, Harley. So it is. It's,
So what is it? What is it about her? I still don't understand.
I have a hard time with it too because, like,
I mean, she's a cool character.
she's a cool character, but the big thing is she's basically an abuse victim. I mean, she lives to
It's
be
true.
she
And
lives
they
to
dropped
be.
a whole lot of that from Suicide Squad.
And
Yeah.
Kevin Smith named his daughter after
Yeah.
her, and she's
don't-
an abuse victim.
Yeah, I mean it's. And if you follow the animated series, I mean the animated series goes darker than the Suicide Squad ever did because I mean Joker literally punches her, he throws her around, he abuses her.
The
And
90s
she-
one.
The animated version, and she just keeps coming back.
Well, I was about to say, and one thing I'll talk about is I think I've got one of the games up there from the Injustice series, the way that plays out in the video game. Because that's the thing you have to understand about DC, which of course includes all Batman comics, is how many universes are we up to? I mean, they're literally,
Yeah.
every time they say, well, there's one universe, they're like, well, the shows take place in universe 478. So there's all these different, there's string theory going on here.
Yeah.
And Marvel does the same thing. There's the
Well, they're
Marvel
rebooting
universe.
all the time.
Yeah.
So they create different universes, and that way they don't have to worry about somebody nitpicking and saying, "Well, the comic book, well, the cinematic universe is its own universe," and so they give them these numbers and these codes. DC, I think, did it first. They had Earth 1 and Earth 2. And then they had Earth 3 where there were no superheroes and everybody was just human. And then they expanded, and that was in the 50s. And now there's all these.
Now there's 52 universes.
Yeah.
Which is why you if you watch DC movies, 52 comes up, or DC television too, 52 comes up all the time.
Well,
Because Flash plays around with that because he jumps between Earth 1, Earth 2, Earth 3.
And I know we're going to get on to more female villains, but you guys are kind of still not, I still don't know.
I don't understand
Well, what
why
I was
Harley
getting
Quinn's as
at-
popular as she is,
What
other
I-
than she's a sexy clown.
What I was getting at is it depends on what universe you want to go
Why
with.
isn't it Poison Ivy?
Why?
And that's going to be one of the topics we get to, because Poison Ivy I feel is a stronger character.
Because to
But-
me, Poison Ivy didn't. She started kind of as a villain and got more evil as it went. Harley Quinn genuinely tried to be a good person, and it's hard not to feel sorry for her.
Yeah.
I think that's why a lot of people like her, is that in a way feel sorry for her, and when she does get to be the hero or get one over on the Joker, you can't help but cheer for her.
Yes.
I was gonna say she's a comic Patty Hearst, and it depend. And again, it does.
That's
depend on-
exactly what she is.
That's a really good,
yeah, that's an that's a
I
great
mean,
analogy.
she really has this,
Kids, get on your Google Patty Hearst. Fascinating
Or
story.
you can wait. I think there's a movie coming out next year.
And there's already a movie from the 80s.
Yes.
But so you have this, and that's what I wanted to get to is you do have the different universes. My kids love the DC superhero girls, which is Tara Strong does the voice of Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn, and we'll be doing it in Raven. They're adding Raven soon, and Harley Quinn is Wonder Woman's roommate in that universe.
Yeah.
And it is, she's never been a villain. She just has a naturally acrobatic ability. So again, you play around with the different universes, and the answer is different. Like, so kids who like, or people who like the Suicide Squad version probably won't like the animated version.
Yeah.
People who like that version aren't going to like, the other version. So I think that's one thing DC does well, is it gives you that flexibility to say, like I said, you've got 8 kids dressed up as Harley Quinn and only 2 repeats of the character as far as what the costume looks like. And I think that's another thing. And I think the part that she's really brilliant. I mean, she's a victim, but she's so in the Injustice video game series. So the Injustice takes place in a parallel universe where Superman kills Joker. Joker kills Lois and manipulates Superman until Superman finally loses his mind, puts his hand through Joker's chest, and just rips out his heart. And then he basically goes Zod. He decides that humans have to be ruled, they can't be trusted, that Batman's not willing to go far enough. He convinces Wonder Woman to join him, and that's the plot line of the
So
game.
it kind of went Kingdom Come.
Yeah. And so, in the first Injustice game, our universe, quote unquote, the heroes we know transfer over there to try to help them. They get pulled into it. In the second game, it takes place solely in that universe. Superman's been captured. It's set 5 years after the events of the first game. And the way Harley Quinn is introduced, she's the one that runs, they call it Brother Eye. Basically, Batman, to make sure there's never another instance where a superhero goes too far, basically creates Big Brother, which he calls Brother Eye, which is a supercomputer that tracks any weird thing. And Harley Quinn is the one that has to run it, because she's the only one that has a mind that's twerked enough to interface with it.
Brother Eye also controls OMAC.
Yeah.
Joe has I just do that to see.
No, well, no. You
But
guys
anyway.
are getting
Yeah, we're going super
a little down the rabbit
But
hole.
no, what I'm saying is, though, and that's it, is you can have whatever version of Harley Quinn you want. You can have the animated, the kid-friendly superhero girl squad one where she is just this natural athlete that has such a weird sense of humor, and it's almost like Deadpool. That's how she just deals with everything that goes on. Or, except it's way more kid-friendly than Deadpool. Or you can go as dark as Injustice, where she creates a cult dedicated to the Joker and makes him a martyr to train people to stand up to Superman. And she uses her psychiatry and her psychology and her knowledge of that to get people, until Batman finally says, "You're brilliant," and recruits her. And she joins the side of Batman versus Superman. So I think that's part of it. I mean, to go from being introduced in a cartoon series more or less to humanize the Joker in some weird way, to
That I understand.
then to
You lost me. You lost me on the other stuff, but that I understand.
But then to be expanded to where you do have her in the Suicide Squad where she is jacked up. Though a lot of people do say that's the weakest characterization of her.
Yeah.
I mean,
Maybe, but I mean, as a person who doesn't know that much about her, watching Margot Robbie play her it's entertaining.
well, I was about to
She's
say.
one of the more entertaining characters in the film. She's
I'm
the one that gets.
I'm gonna be honest.
Who
that's,
gets who gets to
that's
do
not
more
saying
fun?
much,
That's
though,
not-
in that
it's not a very good movie. That's what I'm saying.
It's
Who gets to do?
Yeah, no, it was between her and Deadshot, and I feel like
I think
both were handled poorly in that movie.
But I agree with you. But I do think one of the critiques I read that actually made me go was the more they try to sexualize Harley Quinn, the less interesting she becomes. Like if she becomes too attractive, she's not dangerous. And that's one of the things that they play a lot with in Injustice. There's a part in Injustice 2 where Scarecrow basically turns the fear gas on her, and she hallucinates the Joker coming back from the dead and trying to manipulate her and all of that stuff again. So I think that was a very interesting point.
Yeah.
And I think that may be where Suicide Squad went a little too far on that side.
Do we have anything else to add about?
No.
Let me see if I've got anything.
If you've got to stop and look in your notes,
No.
we don't have anything else. I don't know why I'm looking at Chad, but I think I'm looking for someone to help back me up.
I'm
I'm ready to go
We hit
on.
everything. We hit everything that I was going to say.
What'd you say?
His notes have pictures with them.
He printed
Well,
them
he
off
doesn't
a
know how to
website,
read.
Haley.
Oh no, that's just stuff I wanted to bring up in case Chad's wrong.
Dr. Jerk,
character he said he
Dr.
wanted to talk
Jerkface
about. By the way,
doesn't know how
These,
to read.
these are my notes.
And one correction,
That's-
one correction from our previous other Batman episode, because I said I wanted to say it because I'm wrong. I was wrong, and I will admit when I'm wrong. I said the Human
Just one
Flame.
time.
I said the Human Torch was the villain from the Run series who killed the Martian Manhunter. It's actually the Human Flame, not the Human Torch. I apologize.
Yeah, you got that wrong.
Yeah, I got that wrong.
There were
I
fans
was
out there
excited. I was like,
writing.
Human Torch? And you're
No,
like,
no,
not
no,
that
no,
one.
no.
Never mind.
I went back and read it. I'm like, oh
You're not
crap.
staying with us?
Bye, guys.
Bye.
I'll miss you.
I'll be
Yeah.
over here.
Hey, you're back.
Yay.
No, so do we go? Do
Does
we
she have
just?
snacks on the other side?
So do we go into our list of villains?
Yeah.
Go ahead. I said
Chad,
I'd take
go.
care of
So
Harley.
Harley is the main, the other big villain.
And we had been asked to do a whole episode for Harley Quinn.
And I'll be
I just-
honest. I mean, I can play around with it some more because again, if you want to go
We're not
fractured,
doing a whole episode.
if you
on
wanted to
Harley
go fractured, unless somebody pays us, in which case you will sit there and you
Yeah.
will talk about it, and you'll do a little dance if that's what it takes.
Quinn. Can we get my ankle better?
But no,
No, not if they pay us since they now. Dance.
in terms of female villains, like my favorite female villain of all Batman villains is Poison Ivy.
Who can also be sexy and who I see a lot of cosplay for.
Yeah. But she's also a strong female character where I feel like Harley Quinn can be, but sometimes isn't utilized correctly. But Poison Ivy is she is basically she will not be she will not be controlled by any man. She does what she wants to do, and it's hurt people who try to hurt plants or herself or
Right.
women in general. But who was she created by? She was created by Robert. I'm going to butcher the name. I'm sorry, Kinnear.
Kinnear?
Maybe.
Greg's brother.
Old man Kinnear's boy.
And Sheldon Moldoff. Now, I'm sure neither one of you remember the name Sheldon Moldoff from the previous episode. He is also the creator of the Polka Dot Man.
Pokey Dot Man. People made comments that they liked it when I said Pokey Dot Man.
Not speaking. But Polka Dot Negan. No.
So
Nobody cares about your joke.
So not only did he create one of the worst villains in Batman history, he also created one of the best. And she first appeared in Batman 181 in June of 1966. She was only actually featured in comics prior to Batman the Animated Series. And Batman the Animated Series, much like Harley Quinn, is what elevated her to a whole new status.
And she's in Batman and Robin.
But that was because of her popularity in Batman the Animated Series.
Okay.
Poison Ivy is the other thing about Poison Ivy. She's one of the many characters, and there's many but she is one of the primo examples of comic books that where she just consistently gets reimagined. In some, her powers are she's simply a plant lover. She's basically just a woman who uses plant toxins to
Now he's on his phone.
either control people.
Haley texted me.
What did she
It was
text
show
you?
related. Nothing. Let Chad go. Don't interrupt the show.
Yeah, either she controls
Sorry,
them with
I didn't get a
the stuff she
text.
creates from plants, and she's also impervious to venom. But also in other ones, she
Plus, she
is
tells
actually
Bane what to do.
yeah, and she tells Pain what to do. But the other one, I'll get to it. In some iterations, she's actually more plant-like and has green skin, breathes CO2, and needs sunlight to survive. No matter the variation, she's always immune to poison, even Joker venom, and can control men. One of the reasons why I think she's one of the more powerful villains in DC Comics, period, is she's actually even controlled Superman using her
Feminine wiles.
well, her toxins. She refuses to let men control her, as I mentioned earlier, and will kill to make sure no man ever one-ups her. So who has she been portrayed by? Of course, Uma Thurman in Batman and Robin.
So you're telling me Uma Thurman's portrayal of her is nothing like the comic?
It's awful. Batman and Robin screwed up they screwed up two of the best characters.
Bane?
Well, okay, three of the best characters. I always forget about Bane.
He broke Batman's
Because
back.
that is not Bane in that. But anyway, Bane.
Bane is not known for his chauffeuring capabilities.
Mr. Freeze, which should have been played by Patrick Stewart,
Chill out.
and Poison Ivy.
What
But
did the movie get right, though?
not a damn thing.
There's one shot of Arkham that I really like at the beginning, but I don't know anything about comics. But there's only one shot in that movie of Arkham as it comes up that I thought looked cool.
I have to go back and rewatch it. Diane Pershing was the voice of Poison Ivy in Batman the Animated Series. If you ever look her up, she's a wonderful voiceover artist who's done many things. Ricky Lindholm in the Lego Batman movie.
Yeah.
Claire Fault. This is another messed up. So Gotham has only been on 4 seasons, right?
Yeah.
They have managed to cast Poison Ivy 3 separate times as 3 separate people. The first one was Claire Foley. She was the little girl. And then she was replaced by Maggie Jiha. And there was this whole story arc where one of the mutant people that Dr. Hugo Strange created touched her and she aged into this woman. I thought Haley was going to make a comment. And then apparently in this new season, which I have not watched yet, they have created another iteration of Poison Ivy called Ivy Pepper. So,
By the way, speaking of Hugo Strange,
yeah.
Got a recipe that calls for
real,
Ivy Pepper.
real quick, Hugo Strange was originally supposed to be Batman's ultimate villain. I don't know.
Who the hell is Hugo Strange? I know Hugo Weaving.
He's basically a mad scientist.
Yeah, and he was originally.
But he's one of the many. I mean, there's Dr. Sylvana.
Yeah.
Lex Luthor was even a mad scientist before they changed him to a corporate.
The 80s
figure-
changed everybody into corporate shields.
They
Yeah.
sure did.
Which, when I'm a corporate shield, I enjoy the delicious taste of L8.
I like the Walmart generic Kool-Aid sugar-free.
Water for me. It's empty.
You would have picked the thing that everybody's got.
Yeah, so that's my Poison Ivy. Like I said, I don't understand why Harley Quinn's more popular than Poison Ivy in personal opinion, because I feel like she's a stronger character. She has a lot more backstory, interesting backstory. But that's my. So who are you gonna cover next?
Joe, you got anything?
No.
I
All
come with abundance. I've been asking questions and paying attention.
I just wanted to.
Rat bastard.
I wanted to make sure you felt included.
I
No,
get-
I hope you're not included. Why don't you go sit in the corner?
Are we ready for Bizarro?
No, no.
Darkseid?
How about Lady Shiva?
I almost thought about Lady Shiva was up there.
Who the hell is Lady
Lady
Shiva?
Shiva is a villain, but also kind of heroic. She plays multiple roles. She's the best, arguably, hand-to-hand combatant in the DC universe. She can kill with one hit. She was originally not introduced in any superhero comic. Did you know this about her?
No.
She was originally introduced, let me get this right, in Richard Dragon Kung Fu Fighter.
Yeah,
Dick
Richard
Dragon.
I almost made that comment
I
about.
had the same problem.
Anyway,
So go ahead.
so Lady Shiva basically is more or less, you can think of her. for Joe, for your purposes, if you took Snake Eyes and combined him with that Cobra, what's a Cobra version of Snake Eyes that does talk?
Snow Shadow.
Storm Shadow.
Storm Shadow.
Yeah, if you combine both of them and made them both better, it would be Lady Shiva. She is the ultimate combatant.
You and your damn Thundercats can stay at home.
I didn't mention the Thundercat. So she does one hit kill. She's one of the best fighters.
He's upset about his hair.
I know.
It's a little different. It fell a little different.
And thinning.
So
It's not thinning.
It's okay. Nobody's judging.
Why
your
are
thin
you
hair.
bouncing your head up and down?
Nobody's judging your thin hair,
She
Precious. Can I
knows
go
she's
on? Nobody's watching the show for your thin hair. Can I go on with the show now?
Go on
no
with
one's
Lady
watching
Shiva.
the show.
Anyway, so she does battle. She's fought Black Canary. She's fought tons of other characters.
He made it out of the mine!
It's a she.
I don't know what the hell he's going
Black
on.
Canary, forget it.
You're thinking of Black Lung Canary, and it didn't.
Black
make it
Lung
on the-
Canary would be a great book. I would read that.
Anyway, it's Tweety Bird.
Tweety Bird.
Anyway,
Get my check.
Lady Shiva, actually her name is Sandra Wusong, but she's one of the
Oh
best
my god,
fighters.
this is getting worse.
She does one hit kills, but the reason she's also not just a villain, she does have respect for people that can fight. So when Batman gets broken, she disagrees with that. So she actually is the one that retrains him to fight as he gets better. She trained the third Robin.
So he's going to say the Third Reich.
No.
Tim Drake?
Yeah.
No,
She
Reich.
trained him.
Huh.
And then more recently in the comics, she actually fought Batgirl.
No. I don't know.
And fought
It's
Batgirl.
Batwoman.
No, it's
No,
Batgirl.
It's Batgirl. There's actually
And
a
she-
Batwoman, Cassandra Cain.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and Cassandra
Batwoman.
Cain had made Batgirl kill, and that was the one line that she would never cross. And when Cassandra Cain, Batwoman, made her kill, she basically
Candy Kang.
she started to develop a death wish, and Lady Shiva came after her and basically killed her.
I know why they don't use Lady Shiva in a lot of stuff.
Because her name's Lady Shiva.
And it's kind of boring.
She kills Batgirl, but then she realizes that Batgirl just wanted to die, that she had a death wish because she killed somebody, and then she brings her back because Lady Shiva has gnarly powers. There
Of
you
course she does.
So anyway, she is the ultimate, if you can get her to train you, that's the best training you'll ever get. Joe, she's like the Walker, Texas Ranger
I
of DC
knew it.
Universe.
I knew it. You know, I've met the Walker, Texas Ranger.
Yep. Anyway, so she is the ultimate combatant. She's the one that everybody in the DC Universe fears, but she also does have this weird code of ethics. But she has beat Batman.
Does Lady
More than
Shiva have some more of this go-go juice?
No. So anyway, Lady Shiva, probably one of the best Batman villains. Doesn't get a lot of play, but should. But the problem is that they have built her up to where, quite frankly, she can kill Batman. So you can't use her too much.
Chad!
Alright, so I've done my big villain. I'm now going off the rails.
It couldn't be any more than Lady Shiva.
The one that you're getting ready to talk about was one of the ones that they said that they wished they would have used in movies at one point.
Yeah.
So
Magpie.
Is that like vinegar pie?
No.
Is that like
magpies
mud
are
pie?
attracted to shiny objects. Don't you know anything about ornithology?
You're giving away my script!
I'm sorry.
All I know
thought-
is Black Lung Canary
Oh,
deserves its check.
So wait a
and I'm
second.
tired of Matt Bevins taking away its checks.
so wait a second. So you've got news of an ornithological nature?
Yes!
Something about how a bird is the word?
So Magpie.
Bird.
Black
Bird
Lung
is the
Canary
word.
is the word.
So
So
Magpie.
he thinks Lady Shiva is boring, but
Yeah.
he'll go off on 40-minute rants about Black Lung.
Canary. Yeah,
More go-go juice.
So Magpie was created by John Byrne and first appeared in The Man of Steel #3 in November of 1986.
John Byrne is
86.
known for creating
Yes.
a lot of things.
Yeah. Yes.
2.5 years later, my parents broke up.
Her.
Don't think it's a coincidence.
I was about to say, you think maybe you had something to do with that?
Maybe.
That awful hair. Couldn't take it anymore.
I will not be criticized by you, Chrome Dome.
If you would
Keep
just let me
going.
put a bag over his head, honey, we could stay together.
So, but her only real power is she's kind of impervious to pain.
Yeah.
Other than that, she's just skilled at creating gadgets and numerous types of weapons.
The more I do this show, the more I wish I was impervious to pain.
Her most interesting aspect is her actual look. She has 3 gigantic pieces of hair, 2 that go out the sides of her head and do a curve, and then 1 straight up from the center.
So
that
she
curves
looks
out.
like the ship from episode 1.
And she wears
Phantom Menace.
She wears big pointy sunglasses and a leather bikini
So
or
her
leather bathing suit.
So her hair looks kind of like Joe's.
Yeah. So her real name is Margaret Pye.
He spends a lot of time on his hair.
And her whole gimmick is, as James mentioned, as what magpies are, she literally loves shiny things and believes they should all be hers. Her gimmick is she would steal antiquities, but then she would leave replicas of those antiquities, and they would be booby trapped. So as soon as somebody discovered that it was actually a replica, it would blow up.
Wouldn't they see her with her stupid hair coming through the door?
She would go at night, Joe.
Wouldn't they see her with her stupid hair going at night, climbing over the fence?
You're just arguing comic book logic, Joe Lewis. You are aware of that, don't you?
Go, Juice. Kid Black Canary check.
In my opinion, she actually has a lot of interesting traits, and as James said, there have been some people who think she would have been a good in the movies. However,
Tim Burton could have played her interesting.
However, the character has been really, really mishandled. It even went as bad as to she even went as far as in one comic she is seen, and I apologize in advance, trading sexual favors.
What did she trade them for? I got some wampum.
Hold on, it gets better. Trading sexual favors with a D-list villain known as Doodlebug.
Okay, I knew a guy named Doodlebug.
Yeah.
People called him Doodle.
Yep. And what did Doodlebug?
Was that his Christian name?
He had a ponytail, and he was 50-some years old when I was like 20, and he was dating this one chick who was a lot younger than him.
And
his name was Doodlebug.
And Doodlebug would give her shiny things that he found around Arkham Asylum, and that's what they've done to this character. And also, sadly, Magpie has been killed off and has not appeared since in over 5 years. Do you want to know who she was killed by? Did you read my script?
No, I didn't read your script.
She was killed by the Tally Man.
Tally me banana. Daylight come, and I want to go home.
Yeah. She did see a resurrection, though.
By Resurrection Man?
No.
You mock Resurrection Man.
Because he resurrects.
He actually is a pretty cool hero. But no, she was a recipient
right
of
up there with Magpie.
She was better than Storm Shadow.
She was a recipient of a Black Power ring, which brings people back from the dead.
Why does it got to be black?
Because it's the Black Power ring. See, no. Let's go ahead and do this. He brought this on himself. Yeah. What green is the color of what, Chad?
Willpower.
What is yellow?
Fear.
What is red?
Rage.
What ones am I missing?
Orange is avarice.
Avarice, and then black is
death.
Okay.
And then blue is hope.
Hope.
And then indigo is wisdom.
Love, right?
Love. No, that's sapphire.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
See, Joe, there's this War of the Rings thing that happens, and you find out there's more than just the Green Lantern.
There's only one ring.
And the Sinestro Corps. Oh my God! If he starts quoting Clark's too.
And it is Lord of the Rings. And I will not be what?
How about the Naomi Watts movie where there's that girl in the well?
That's another ring. And
there's 2 rings.
And that's a different kind of ring.
I don't answer till the 3rd ring.
You still haven't seen Justice League.
No.
There's 3 boxes instead of 3 rings. Seriously, Justice League is a ripoff, a horrible ripoff of Lord of the Rings. I recommend you watch it and get sick and throw something at the TV. But anyway,
I feel like this episode's went off the rails.
Magpie is last seen tearing out the hearts of innocents to feed on their fear in the Darkest Night story arc. She has been portrayed by Gray Delisle, who was actually the voice of Harley Quinn in the Lego Batman. But she was the voice of Magpie in Beware the Batman.
I don't think she is.
Look it up.
Lego Batman the movie?
Think of it.
No, Lego Batman the animated series.
She might. I might be wrong.
Pretty sure it's Jenny Slate.
Okay.
I know Tara Strong has done it in Batman the original show. She does it in Injustice, and she does it in.
It might have been one of the Batman animated Lego movies.
Mr. Bean.
But anyway, that's Magpie. James, who's your?
You know what?
Are you on your 3rd? You're on your 3rd.
Yes, I'm on my 3rd. What? Mine is Nocturna.
Who the hell is Nocturna?
Well, that's
I'm
a
assuming she goes at night.
Daylight chick.
That would be daylight
We're trying
savings.
to
Daylight
do
savings
one
woman.
episode where we talk about Batman villains and we talk about women villains because Batman was the first one. We try to show a little bit of credit to a character that gave early villains, female villains.
Plus you hate the
try to
farmers.
look at a little bit more of it as feminism, and he can't stop calling people chicks. Anyway,
You did all that to get to that.
I'm just saying, hashtag
Why
feminism.
did you walk to the store when you could have just drove?
Hashtag feminism. Now we're going to get accused of mansplaining.
Hashtag my ass.
Hashtag buy a comb. Anyway, not
For
turning.
my ass?
And you need one from what I've heard.
Oh.
He sits on a pot of nair.
That's a big pot.
Oh.
Anyway, Nocturna.
It's a kitty tub. Kitty pool, I mean. Damn it, I screwed that up.
I'm not allowed around the kitty tub.
Nocturna is a Batman villain
You.
who is.
Well, of course she is. What's the topic of this episode?
It's going off the rails more and more.
Perkins.
She grew up.
And how they're not just for your face.
She grew up in the streets of Gotham. She is finally seen by a millionaire,
And his wife.
Charles Knight,
Yes.
who sees her living on the street, and it appeals to him, and he feels bad, and he adopts her. Except there's one thing about Charles Knight that's relevant.
His last name's Knight and she's Nocturna.
No.
He wants to be called Chuck Day.
No.
I knew a Chuck Day. You remember Doodlebug?
God.
Doodlebug and Blue Boy went out with Chuck Day one time.
Are you finished?
Now
Are you
I can
finished?
keep going.
Charles Knight runs the underworld in Gotham during this time period.
Oh, okay.
So he's a precursor to all the underworld people that we know now. Anyway,
Kate
Charles
Beckinsale.
Knight was
Underworld.
secretly a crime lord. He adopts her though because that's his chance to do one
Thank you,
thing that he
Haley.
know is good, and so he raises her. She takes his last name and becomes Natalie Knight.
Oh my god.
The DC characters
I
always
know.
have dumb names.
I can't sit. I just sit here.
Lord.
I just sit here and cover somebody named
Anyway.
Margaret Pie. I can't say.
She becomes an astronomer because she's interested in space. She said that's the only thing she had living on the street was to watch the stars at night.
In the city, you can't see stars in the city.
You can't in Gotham.
You can if you're in New York. You can, like, Central Park, you just hang out. Didn't you see Whoopi Goldberg?
I did see. No, I just saw Whoopi Goldberg at Toys R Us. I saw David Cross in Central Park.
Well, you saw A-Star.
Anyway, she starts working at the Gotham Astronomical Society, and
People are
she
texting
ends up being exposed to radiation. And it doesn't kill her immediately. They think she's fine, but slowly she starts to lose all the pigment in her skin.
Okay.
And she becomes increasingly pale. Bruce Wayne sees her at a party, becomes interested in her. She has a brother, I'm sorry, not a brother. She has somebody else interested in that convinces her to do crime.
Did you have a brother named Dickie Daylight?
No.
Why not?
Nick Knight. Joe Lewis.
Nick
Knack, patty whack, give it a dog a bone.
No, Nick Knight was a TV show.
Nick
Remember-
Knight.
Remember Nick Knight?
No, it was Nick at Night.
No.
There's Mac Knight.
Mac the Knife.
Like no.
Minnie the Moocher. Anyway, Nocturna comes about.
Hide hide ho.
Charles
Did you just say
Knight.
hi to Shauna?
Charles Knight dies, leaves her his money.
Uh-huh.
She has to use all the money on treatments because she can no longer take any form of daylight.
Yeah.
She runs out of money. She partners up with this guy that convinces her to go into crime. He's
They
a
fight
brawn,
crime
she's a
in the city
brain.
this fall.
Any exposure to sunlight hurts her extremely badly because she no longer has any skin pigment. And over time, she actually starts to be able to develop the ability to go into the shadows and more or less teleport.
So
Batman-
Nightwing.
She's an albino.
No,
Oh.
because of everything else that's happened to
Nightcrawler.
her.
I said Nightwing.
Batman, yeah, that would be Robin.
Nightcrawler's Robin?
No, oh my god.
Have you ever fished with a Nightcrawler?
We need to keep a puzzle or
How
something.
about
Yeah,
that
no.
Jake Gyllenhaal film?
Anyway,
It's
so
way better
she-
than this
Bat-
Dickie Darko.
Batman, basically Bruce Wayne actually is interested in her. She keeps escaping. and pretty much he lets her go.
Oh, we let her go.
And she's but because she can literally function in the darkness when Batman also functions, she's one of the biggest threats to him. She hasn't appeared much recently, but
I think there's a story arc where Judd Winnick did a run on Batman where she had an affair with Scarecrow, if I'm not mistaken.
It wouldn't surprise me. She's one of the darker characters because she herself is tragic, but at the same time, she isn't willing to stop. And Bruce Wayne offers to pay for more of her treatments, but she actually prefers crime.
Huh.
So she develops a romantic interest with him. She turns to
Haley's the same way.
sticks to crime.
Haley texted us and told me to say Enchantress.
What?
You said Enchantress.
No, I said
No.
there's no dumber name than June Moon so
Yeah.
far.
June Moon.
Which is the Enchantress.
That's what I said.
So, as with the other episode, I have to bring up one absolutely horrible villain who's a female. Lady Orca, or Orca for short.
She
It is exactly what you think it's
She a
going to
big
be.
woman.
It's exactly what you think it's going to
Well, lass, you say.
Played by Shelley Winters.
be. She was
Shelley
created.
Winters is who you were thinking about earlier today.
It sure was. It sure was.
Let's start with the origin. She was created by Larry Hama and first appeared in Batman
Larry
579
Hama. John Hamm and Larry Hamilton's son.
in July of 2000. She's actually only appeared in 2 stories in Batman in the history of Batman.
And they're both about him trying to track down a killer whale.
She is actually a humanoid killer whale. Who has enhanced strength, can increase her size, is very adept at swimming, and can hold her breath for long periods of time. She is literally a giant humanoid killer whale with big bosoms, which that makes her
You had me at big bosoms.
Yes, I know.
And Shelley Winters.
Here's another, just one of the. This could only happen in comic books. How did she get her powers?
From the bosoms?
No, from experimenting with spinal cord tissue regeneration using
Big bosoms.
orca spinal tissue.
And she got her bosoms in the way
No,
of her
Oh
experiment.
my god. One episode we tried to do something for female fans that have requested
I'm trying to do
this.
something to him,
I mean,
too.
if you seriously look at
God.
this is
By the
an
way, that's the
awful.
funniest thing I said all night. I'm trying to do something to
I
them,
get
too.
accused of mansplaining all the time.
It's
he says
just-
stuff like that, and he gets like, "Oh, Joe,
But they're bosoms.
This is all my fault.
you brought this upon us
Yeah,
all."
I'm sorry.
You and Lady Orca.
She developed, but from this experimentation, she developed a chemical formula from the research that transformed her into the creature known as
Big bosoms.
Lady Orca. In only her second appearance, which happened 10 years later, 12 years later, she is killed by a villain known as
The bosom mater.
the Great White Shark.
Oh! Didn't
and-
see that coming.
And sadly is partially eaten by the Killer Croc after he finds her corpse in the sewer. Side note, and again back to James, her husband was also killed by the Tally Man.
Tally me banana. I wish right there, Haley, you could put in a sound effect from Law and Order. Ta-dum.
And Haley, I actually know this one for sure. She was actually featured in the Lego Batman movie and was voiced by Laura Keitlinger. I might have gotten
Laura
the-
Keitlinger much lately.
No.
I'm glad that she found work as a killer orca.
Yes.
2 stories.
2 stories. One in 2000 and one where she first appeared, and then 12 years later where they killed her.
And the Killer Croc ate her.
And the Killer Croc ate a portion of her, not her whole person.
Did he leave the bosoms?
I don't know.
Will you find out for me?
No.
Inquiring minds. Our audience filled with women for this episode want to know.
No, they
no,
stopped watching.
Seriously,
3 minutes in.
if you're watching this, if you're still watching this, if we haven't offended you, go look up Killer Lady Orca. It's a joke. It's just an awful villain. Period.
Next.
All right, this is the last one I've got that I find fascinating, and Joe will poop on it as he does everything that I've tried to talk about today.
I
What?
have not pooped on everything you've talked about today. You talked about me for like 10 minutes earlier, and it was cool.
It was about your hair
And how
you need
shitty
to work
it is.
on it. Anyway,
Beep.
the absence. The absence
Oh God, I
Of
know
love?
this character.
is known as her name was Una Nemo. She was originally DC is bad at making up names.
I take back my June Moon comment.
June Moon.
She was a socialite. She was one of Bruce Wayne's girls. In other words, the ones that he
You're not
uses
supposed to own people. Did anybody talk to Bruce Wayne about this?
Yeah, so Bruce Wayne is one of the more sexist
And they're
characters.
women. Jeez.
And
with bosoms.
Anyway, Alfred actually really liked her and recommended he keep her around. Bruce Wayne has always kept her at arm's length because he didn't want anybody to find out who it was. So she's having a party. She's on a yacht. Good time. She's a socialite. She's got money until some criminals show up and they decide to rob.
No good. Starting trouble in our neighborhood.
They rob the yacht and they unfortunately put a revolver right there and they blow her brains out. She falls over the edge of the boat. Her body disappears.
Yeah.
They
eaten by the killer croc, I suspect.
Bruce Wayne goes to the funeral. Blah blah blah. Everything goes on. 2 weeks later, the grave is robbed.
Oh no!
The body's gone. They look at they investigate the grave.
Chad's tuned out.
And they say
I'm listening. I already know this character.
The body is delivered later to Gotham's police station.
Yes.
Jim Gordon finds her. Everything looks fine. The body's back. Why did they drop it off? And then he realizes one of the ring finger is missing.
Oh.
And so they call Batman. Batman doesn't answer the phone, but they get Dick Grayson, Nightwing, shows up to figure out what's going on. He realizes that the ring's missing. They're trying to figure out why would you just take her? Why would you dig her up? Why would you just take her finger? And then later on, the finger pops up, but it's missing the fingernail. And everything's constantly missing something. They ended up finding out that there's a compound on the fingernail, or on where the fingernail was.
10 Little Indians. This is not.
They trace it to a. It ends up getting traced back to this
yes, Agatha.
company. They end up figuring out that it's linked to this wedding that's going on. Batman, everybody shows up at the wedding to bust it down. All of a sudden, the preacher.
Does he mean dance?
Magic dance.
The
Busted down,
no,
Batman.
It's the Batusi.
Batusi.
Anyway, the preacher finally reveals that it's not actually a priest, or the priest reveals it's not actually a priest.
I'm not an actual preacher.
It's Unanimo.
Oh no.
She actually now has a hole in her head.
Yes.
She can no longer sleep. She can no longer do anything else. She has all these problems now. And she actually thanks Batman basically for finally noticing her. She goes through all this other stuff. And then she decides to just blow up the church.
This is pointless.
She blows up the church. She gets away. And she's more or less just one of the more...
But the Batusi never saw it coming.
The reason she's an interesting character is she's a complete and utter commentary on how Bruce Wayne, as a character, has historically treated women. He keeps them at arm's length because he, obviously can't reveal who he is, but he uses them as props. When she gets shot...
You hold this table up, just prop it up.
When she gets shot, it's a big commentary on, he shows up at the funeral because he's expected to, because he was in that circle. But it's a big commentary on the fact how he has, historically in the comic books, as Bruce Wayne, not as Batman, treated women as disposable. And so that's why that character was actually created, as even though she survives getting a bullet wound to the head, and literally in the comic she has a gaping wound in her head that you can see through.
Is this as boring as it sounds?
I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of this character because I thought about bringing her up too, but literally she's just she has a hole in her head.
And she has, but to me, it's a big commentary on how historically Bruce Wayne has been shown treating women.
All right.
By the way,
What interesting character would you bring up, Joe?
Haley.
I don't have any. Why are you getting mad?
I don't know. I have another feeling this is another one where Joe didn't do research on this.
I didn't do any. I don't know anything about these people. You knew this before the episode started.
I know, but it's really hard when if you don't know the backstory. This is like, yeah.
Why are you getting mad at me?
Because it's really,
you are bad.
No, I'm not mad. I'm just
You are mad.
Just saying, If you haven't read it and you critique something, it's bull crit. You don't have the data. To
Bull
back it.
what?
What's
Bull
bull
crit.
cred?
What's bull crit? Is
That's
when you
that
critique
bull
something.
cred is when you've got the cred of a bull.
No, bull crit is when you critique something without knowing it. It comes off of another BS.
That doesn't
term.
sound like a word.
It's a
Crit is not a word.
It's a term for people who
Is that a real
historically.
word?
It was a term used in journalism that was basically the yellow journalism of critiquing things. If you
Oh,
didn't actually
he's calling
see
me
it,
yellow.
if you didn't,
Which is a really good episode of Tales from the Crypt.
God, if you didn't see it and you took a payoff for it, but you just positively
I'm
reviewed it,
just
it's a
saying,
bull crit.
as you're telling me about this, it's a woman with a bullet hole in her head, and the only question I could come up, I can't
it's-
even do the question.
But it's social commentary. It's a comment on how Bruce Wayne has always been portrayed in the comic book.
By the way,
And the movies, for that matter. Christian Bale's portrayal of him as...
Batman.
Haley was right. I was wrong. That was not the voice of Harley Quinn in the Lego Batman movie.
Who was it? June Frey.
She was right.
I wish it would have been June
What was
Foray.
the name, Haley?
I was
Jenny
just trying to make it up to you
Jenny
before
Slate.
you go all yelling and screaming on me
No,
again.
I just...
Comment on my Storm Shadow Snake Eyes love affair.
All right. Let me.
It's your fan fiction that really creeps me out.
Well, they look really hot together.
All
And
right.
then, for the first time ever, Snake Eyes spoke and went, boy,
God.
Bloosh.
Bloosh. Oh,
right.
shit snacks.
Let me get this show back on the rails.
Oh, go
You
ahead.
have to admit,
Good
that'd be awesome.
luck.
That would
Let me
be
Do
awesome.
that.
I mean, tell you Al Shire.
Are you less mad at me now?
I'll to tell you all ghoul.
I
Do y'all
laughed at you,
want to
didn't
hug
you?
it out before I get to the
No,
last
no,
villain?
go ahead.
I'll blow him later.
All right, so the last villain is not only she is not the mother of all villains. No, she is the grandmother of all villains.
Shelley Winters.
I am, of course, talking about Granny Goodness.
Who also does pop up in the DC Superhero Girl show.
Yeah. Granny Goodness, created by Jack Kirby. First appearing in Mr. Miracle #2 in May of 1971.
And
And
Jack
this is-
Kirby, if you don't know who Jack Kirby
Well,
is...
this is when he was working for DC?
Yeah, Jack Kirby worked for everybody.
Jack Kirby is Jack Kirby was the creator of the New Gods, I'm sorry, but the New Gods consist of such characters as Granny Goodness, Metron, Highfather, Orion, and
Darkseid. I knew it! Hey, you tell me I don't do any research. Hold on. Ghostsmith. Never study.
She is first and foremost a torturer. She
You had me at Granny.
she runs Darkseid's orphanages. Now she actually has a great backstory that I'll just tell real quickly. She was originally grew up in poverty on the planet of Apocalypse. She was training to be one of Darkseid's hounds, which is one of his elite warriors. Part of the training is you get this gigantic devil dog. You train them. You befriend them. They become your companion. And as you're initiated into the hounds, the trainer forces you to kill your hound.
Hold on, real quick. There's a hellhound. There's an apocalypse. There's a bunch of grannies.
Yes.
See, this is a character, James, not a bullet
Yeah.
hole.
So what does Granny Goodness decide to do?
Dogs and cats living together.
Mass hysteria.
What does Granny Goodness do when the trainer is telling her to kill her hound?
She
She
kills the trainer.
doesn't.
She kills the trainer.
There you go. Good for you, Granny.
this,
See? That empathy. I got some pathos, ethos, holos, kodos.
So Darkseid takes a liking to her because of this, and she goes, "Why did you do this?"
Mm-hmm.
She explains, I do not serve anyone. I serve you, my lord." So he goes, "Fine." He then and she goes, "I've also trained this dog to be your loyal servant." He goes and he says, "Okay, fine." He orders the dog to attack Granny, who's not Granny at the time, and Granny is forced to kill the dog. Darkseid is impressed with her, so she becomes the new trainer, running Darkseid's orphanage. The orphanage is where Granny Goodness trains through fear, brainwashing, and torture Darkseid's many parademons and her personal warriors, the female Furies. She is immortal, has superhuman abilities, and is a skilled warrior and tactician. She has met Batman on several occasions through Justice League story arcs. and his various team ups with Superman. But why do I consider her a Batman villain? She has done what nobody has ever been able to do:
Baked a pie.
kill Batman. Simply put, she's the only one. She is the actual one responsible for Batman's death. Hold on. If you're not watching it if you're only listening to us on the podcast, I am now doing quotes. Batman's death.
Well, I was going to say,
Which I will get into.
all of these characters have died 1,000 times in alternate
but has
universes
Batman.
and-
Has Batman. I think there's been one other instance where Batman has died, and it really wasn't death. He faked his death. This is one where Batman actually died. In the Final Crisis story arc that I've mentioned in a previous episode, all the new gods have been wiped out. They've all been killed. But they've been reincarnated into human bodies on Earth. It's at this point that the new gods decide that they want to conquer Earth. So they have these various attempts. In one of these attempts, Batman discovers Granny Goodness is actually behind one of the attempts. And what does Granny Goodness do? She knocks him out. She actually defeats Batman, puts him in a torture device where she basically, for almost 4 months, just tortures him one after another. He eventually escapes and is killed by Darkseid using Darkseid's many powers, his Omega beams. So, Granny Goodness actually led to the death of Batman.
But she didn't really kill him, though.
She didn't really kill him, but she defeated him. She put him in the torture device where he escaped and led to Darkseid, who killed him with his Omega beams.
It's the Omega beams.
And by the way, turns out that the Omega beams actually didn't kill Batman. They just displaced him in time.
That happened to me once.
That's a very common
Remember that time we
thing.
had Everclear?
Yep.
We got displaced in time.
Yeah.
Everclear and the
Isn't that what
homemade
happened to
cornbread.
Cyclops too? I know I'm jumping to Marvel, but when he fought Apocalypse and Apocalypse joined with him, but really he was just
Well,
displaced
wasn't
him.
Apocalypse created by Jack Kirby? No, he wasn't created by Jack Kirby. That's Thanos. Sorry.
Yeah.
But anyway, Joe, do you want to guess what famous voice actor has portrayed Granny Goodness?
Shelley Winters?
Nope. One more try.
Judith O'Day.
You are so wrong and so dumb. Ed Asner. That is
Honest to God, I think Shelley Winters was pretty close.
Honestly, if you have not seen Granny Goodness portrayed in Batman the Animated Series or Batman Superman Apocalypse, the one of the many Warner Brothers fantastic DC
It's really Ed
animated-
Asner?
It's Ed Asner.
It's not a woman?
It's a woman. He plays Granny, and he does it in Ed Asner's growly voice, but he does it in a feminine tone. It is perfect. I will bring over the DVD so I can show it to you.
Is it better than The Killing Joke?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, a lot better. And
'Cause
also,
that's a good book.
when you hear
that was a good book. I read that.
when
It
you
was a good
see
book.
this frail old well, she's not frail. She's actually a very chubby old woman with huge white hair, and it's Ed Asner's voice going, "Make sure to serve Granny."
I was gonna say,
That's not a direct quote.
in
but-
the DC superhero girls, she is, I believe, the librarian that tricks
Yeah.
Supergirl into opening up and letting the female Furies.
and she's actually voiced by a man in that as well. I don't remember his name.
But she, and so that's how Big Barda eventually joins. And
Big
all
Bertha?
Big
no.
Barda. She's
Big
another
Barda.
new god. She's Mr. Miracle's wife.
Jeremy?
No,
John.
Jacob
Jeff.
Jingleheimer Schmidt.
Hello!
No, so, but
We
yeah.
just named the Miracle Clan.
I thought
Um,
Granny Goodness was a good villain to note because she actually killed Batman.
And on that bombshell.
I was gonna say, as far as Batman female villains go, there are a ton of them. I mean, there's lists of them.
Jane Doe would have been a good one that I almost brought up, but I didn't.
Well,
They
I
did an
was gonna say,
autopsy on her.
there's Talia al Ghul, which is Ra's al Ghul's daughter.
Is she the one from the movie?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They gave her a different name.
They gave her, they changed the story a lot on that. But she is actually the mother of
Damian
Batman's son.
Wayne.
Batman's son, which if you read the comics, there's an entire storyline there. But she trains him to kill, more or less. which causes some issues with Batman's no-kill policy. I mean, there's just so many, and that's literally, all jokes aside, that's one of the reasons Batman does have more female villains than
Is that an understood
anybody else.
policy? Kind of like a like you kind of know, or is it in writing about?
Actually,
no-kill?
that's the other thing. Batman, we talked about William Finger, Bill Finger, and William Phalange, as you called it.
No, it was Bill Phalange.
Bill Finger and Bob Kane and how it changed. But that's the other thing that now is so much part of the character that wasn't originally. Batman used to use guns.
Yep.
I mean, so much of that has been changed as time went on, and part of that was Comic Code Authority stuff too.
Yeah.
But
Because even in the serials, he had guns.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. So I mean, but I just think the fact that there is just a wealth of female characters, probably of all the main characters, that isn't female. Like Wonder Woman obviously has a lot, but as far as being somewhat forward thinking and hey, women can be just as evil as men, which I guess is its own form of feminism. Batman is ahead of the game.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not another character that I can think of that as we sit down and do this, like you said, there are tons more we could mention.
And we didn't bring up Catwoman because Catwoman's not a villain. She's a hero.
By the way, I was reading something
Can
about...
you do a whole episode about that and argue both sides?
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, and you can argue
And
also...
wouldn't it depend on which iteration?
Oh, it depends on what iteration, but
and what universe and what reality. And the other part about all this, though, is, I mean, we could almost do an episode of... the parallels, because Marvel and DC historically have played off of each other.
Yeah,
And,
Thanos and Darkseid are pretty much the same character.
Black Cat and Catwoman.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But how those character arcs changed as time went on, because Black Cat almost started as being the more friendly of the two with the superheroes, and now she has went back completely dark because she thinks Spider-Man ratted her out. So anyway, so we could do an entire episode about that. That being said, I think that's what makes Batman interesting, why we're able to actually do an entire episode about female villains, because Batman does have more historically than anybody else I can think of.
All right. Are we good?
Hashtag Batfeminism.
So,
Go ahead.
what?
Just make sure you do the business.
Well, I was just about to say, the bottom of, if you're watching right now on YouTube, at the bottom of the left-hand screen, way over there, subscribe. We really need some subscribers. If you're listening to us on iTunes, please subscribe. SoundCloud, please subscribe. We need more subscribers.
It takes no time to do it, but it lets people know that we exist.
Now that we exist, and it helps us as far as
If
getting
you don't,
out
we're
there.
turning this into a cooking show, and nobody wants to see that.
And honestly, the more subscribers and viewers we have, the better the guests are. I'm just going to be honest with you.
Yeah, because
Certain people, if you don't have X amount of people watching, certain people will not be a guest on your show.
Yeah.
so we need that, and to be honest, it's not like it costs you anything to hit subscribe.
Absolutely.
Please humor us, give us the time. We appreciate it, but we do need that to keep getting some of the guests that we get.
And James and I had talked about this. We're going to take how should I say, a play from the playbook of the She Nerd.
Yeah.
So if we get 100 subscribers, Chad Jennings will be dressing up in a leather Catwoman outfit.
I will not.
That's going to happen.
Will be doing it. We didn't
Because-
talk about it. We didn't mention it with him.
Joe and I talked about it, but
Yeah.
but that's one of the things
That's
that
one of-
the
we
She
like
Nerd, and if you don't
surprises.
subscribe to anybody, subscribe to us, but also check out the She Nerd. But
before you
one
do
of the
that-
things that she did was she said for fans of her show, she got a Catwoman outfit. We just think it's appropriate for fans of our show. We're gonna dress Chad up as the Catwoman.
And
Now-
the reason
now
we
that
do
being
it is
honest,
because Chad is the prettiest.
What?
That being said, though, if you've watched this episode, you also know that Joe doesn't know a lot about comic book characters, so we're going to let him pick out the outfit. May God have mercy on your soul.
Is that like calling Estelle Getty the sexiest of the Golden
I
Girls?
know who Selena Kyle is.
Good God.
It would have been better if he goes, I know who Selena Gomez is.
Who's Selena Gomez?
Oh, my God.
Anyway, so thank you all
She
so
lives
much.
in that house with Bob Morticia. I got nothing. Gomez and Morticia.
Bob the Builder?
Oh, my God.
What? Anyway, so tune in, subscribe, and when we get to 100, we're dressing Chad up in something leather.
It's not a jacket, though.
Thanks for tuning in.
It's going to be skin tight.
Gonna show off his cleaves.
If he's got the curves, I got the angles.
I want an adult.
You ain't got one here.
Joe?
Is he popping his collar? If he wants to throw hands, I'll throw hands.
Should pop a hairbrush, for God's sake.